poppin', everybody? Welcome to Crossing the Line. We are your host. I'm Sergio Cano. To my right is Matt Intrican. To my left is Brian Kilman. Hopefully everyone's doing good. Let's get it started. Our first topic is, who will win between the Bucks or Celtics? What do you guys think? Matt?
I think it's going to be the Celtics. I think when it comes down to it, the Celtics are in great shape. They split the first two games of the series in the Bucks' house in Milwaukee, and the Bucks are a great home team. They only lost 8 times all season, and the fact that the Celtics were able to split with them, I think it means that they're in great shape. They're going back to Madison Square Garden tonight. They're going to be at home. It's going to be popping. I think if Al Horford keeps playing that great Hall of Fame defense that he's been doing, and they can get a little more protection from Jason Tatum and Gordon Hayward, Celtics are going to be in great shape to take commanding lead in this series.
Okay, I disagree. I think, you look at the game 2, the Bucks won by like 22, and with like a quarter left, they basically stopped playing. They started throwing all their subs in. So I just think when it comes down to it, in Game 1, the Bucks weren't ready, admittedly, for the Celtics. They took it a little too easy. Giannis wasn't on his game. But when you have a team, you have Giannis, Chris Middleton, in Game 2, hit like 7, 8 threes, something like that. I just think the Bucks are too talented with, probably the MVP of the year in Giannis to go down to a Celtics team that, nobody in the league can guard Giannis, and it doesn't matter if it's Al Horford, Aaron Baines, whoever. No one can guard him.
I don't know why you're saying no one can guard Giannis.
He put up like 35 last night.
Yeah, last night. What did he do in Game 1? He shot like 30% from the field.
Right. Well, I honestly think this series is gonna go to 7 games, and I feel like the Bucks will take it. However, that being said, the Bucks need to take one in Boston. If not, Celtics are moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I have the Bucks winning in 7. But I do see the probability of, Kyrie just being too much for him to handle. Kyrie's been here before, knows how to deal with pressure. Matt, I feel like you feel pretty confident in the Celtics, right?
Well, yeah, I feel like everybody's harshing on the Celtics, and for no good reason. This is the exact same Celtics team that nearly made it to the finals last year, and they didn't even have Kyrie Irving or Gordon Hayward.
Worse. Okay, last year the East was much worse.
There's no LeBron.
But the Cavs were LeBron, and that's all the Cavs were.
There's still no LeBron.
And when it comes down to it, you think of, the 76ers are healthier, and they added Jimmy Butler. The 76ers are better. And I think Giannis and the Bucks having more experience as a team, best record as a team. Best record in the league this year. It doesn't matter if they had 1 year, just another year playing together. They're going to be a better team this year.
Who on the Bucks has made it to the finals?
No one. Admittedly, no one. But that doesn't mean anything. The Bucks are just better. Nobody can stop Giannis, and he showed that in Game 2.
What are you talking about? The Celtics did exactly what they needed to do to Giannis in Game 1, and they can do it again, especially in Boston. When they have the control, they know everything they need to do. They have a new game plan. They have things they needed to fix, and they will fix them. And Jason Tatum and Gordon Hayward have been useless in this series so far. Jason Tatum was outstanding last year in the playoffs. You think he's really gonna go two series without having any protection?
Game 1 was useless.
Gordon Hayward?
Yeah, in Game 1.
He had 5 points last night.
Okay, Game 2 he was useless. I'm not Game 2, whatever.
Well, it seems you guys are pretty passionate about this topic. It's going to be interesting, but I think we should move on to the second topic. Should the Giants have picked Daniel Jones? Next topic. Who are the winners and losers of the NFL draft? Brian, you go first.
I'm just going to go with my loser first. The Detroit Lions are the loser. And with the 8th pick in the draft, they picked T.J. Hawkinson, a tight end from Iowa. Good tight end, best tight end in the draft by far. But they also picked up another tight end in the 7th round, which I feel like was unnecessary. And do we think that the Detroit Lions, their biggest concern is the tight end? With the 8th pick in the draft, they had some other options. Ed Oliver, Rashawn Gary, Devin Bush, all defensive players that got picked after T.J. Hawkinson. And the Detroit Lions defense is pretty bad. And if you look at a defensive player they picked, Austin Bryant, you know, like probably the 4th best defensive lineman from Clemson, behind Clelin Ferrell, Christian Wilkins, and Dexter Lawrence. I just feel like the Lions did not show up in this draft, and especially when you come out and pick a tight end right away, you're just, you know, going to be a loser.
Well, I don't know. I feel like Matthew Stafford, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, someone who historically could be argued to be an elite quarterback. Maybe T.J. Hawkinson is just the guy he needs to get him that pass protection and that security blanket when he's in the pocket, and to give him that extra passing threat in games when you need a tight end, someone who can change the tides and turn the corners for the Lions in close games. That's all I'm saying.
For my winners, I had the Dolphins because they had the whole Rosen deal. Basically, initially got them for free. You know, they traded down for like a mid-second round pick, but the team went with a separate deal with the New Orleans. And I think they essentially could evaluate him for a year, try to build around him, and if not, they could flip him to, you know, another team for some other draft capitals. And my other winner I had was the Redskins, who ended up with Dwayne Haskins, and he's got the perfect skill set to fit with Jay Gruden's quick hit offense. And I think they also scooped up Montez Sweat. So I think those are some really good winners there. As far as the losers, I have the Giants. Obviously, Daniel Jones has got to deal with one of the toughest sports markets in the world and try to win over the fans and media there. So we should see how that goes out. And I guess the comments, you know, by Getterman's wasn't really helping the cause, since you know, he kind of suggested that Jones was going to sit behind Eli Manning for 3 years, which that's already kind of their downfall. So that's who I had were the winners and losers. So, but
I think we need to talk about the whole Kyler Murray being drafted by the Cardinals. I think actually Arizona Cardinals are one of the biggest losers in this draft.
Oh.
Not that they're one of the losers right now, but that they could potentially be one of the biggest losers, if not the biggest loser. Because, and I don't even think we should be talking about winners and losers of this draft. I think we're talking about winners and losers of like the 2017 NFL draft, because that's how long it takes to know who really won and lost the draft. But when you think about the Cardinals, they've now used 2 first-round picks, 2 top 10 first-round picks for quarterbacks, and the Josh Rosen story with the Cardinals is over. That was waste, and that they got a second-round pick and used it on, you know, an above-average wide receiver in Isabella, and a 5th-round pick in 2020. I think that's a poor deal for Josh Rosen, and I think that there's immense pressure on Murray and the Cardinals that Murray works out, and I think if it doesn't, it's a nightmare for the Cardinals.
I just think when it comes down to it, Kyler Murray, he's been with Cliff Kingsbury. He's known him since he was like a sophomore in high school, and I think Kyler Murray is sort of the future of the NFL. These young quarterbacks who are more electric, just like Russell Wilson, and I think the Cardinals definitely, you know, Kyler Murray has a lot to show, but I think Josh Rosen didn't show up in the first year, and maybe they should have given him a bigger chance. But, you know, quarterbacks win games when, you know, they're the most standout position. Well, if you have a good defensive end, you know, Nick Bosa would have been great for the Cardinals, but he can't win a game by himself, and Kyler Murray might be able to.
Right.
Okay. Respect that.
Okay, well, if you get on to the next topic. Was Daniel Jones a good pick for the Giants? Matt, we'll start off with you.
Daniel Jones was definitely not a good pick for the Giants. There was so much available in the draft for the Giants. They could have, namely, one of the best, probably the best pass rusher in college football last year in Josh Allen. They passed on him. They passed on Dwayne Haskins, of course, who I think was largely better than Josh Daniels. I mean, after all, Josh Daniels had barely a 60% completion percentage, and compare that to Dwayne Haskins, who had a 70% completion percentage, threw for 50 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, compared to Jones, who was at 22 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And Daniel Jones had above average numbers in college at best. No quarterbacks get better as they move on from college to the NFL. And the fact that you used the 6th overall pick on this Duke quarterback, I think that's just nuts.
Okay, well,
What do you think?
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that Daniel Jones has a chance to show up in the NFL. He fits into the Giants system better than Dwayne Haskins. Okay.
I don't think so. Dan Jones isn't even a prototypical New York Giants quarterback. He's on the more mobile side. Dwayne Haskins is more of a pocket passer, like Eli Manning and like Eli Manning, what the Giants usually use. He's more mobile, and I don't think Daniel Jones fits what the Giants usually use. And the only thing that has the appeal about Daniel Jones is that he has good relationships with the Mannings and with people in the New York Giants organization.
Well, when you have somebody like this guy got coached by the same person who coached Eli and Peyton Manning, 2 great NFL quarterbacks. So you got to have some faith in him, This guy's getting coached up.
Why is Daniel Jones better than Dwayne Haskins?
They took a chance at Daniel Jones. They really did. And I think when you look at the stats, Daniel Jones did not have a great season. Duke was not that great of a team. And you compare it to Ohio State, they're just like a, go team, top team in the NCAA football. I think he didn't have the stats, certainly, but as the draft came closer, we saw his draft stock go up and up. And when it comes down to it, Dave Gettleman, the Giants GM, saw that he saw Eli where a lot of people saw Cooper Manning, they say.
Here's what I think. Dave Gettleman's a racist.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, I put my 2 cents in on
Not
the
as
whole Giants
maybe.
Daniel Kubi. So let's get on to our last topic, and arguably probably my favorite. There's been causing a lot of debate, a lot of controversy with the NBA world. How do we feel about the Rockets complaining to the refs about all those non-calls, missed calls in Game 1, and how's that going to go down? How do you feel about it, Matt?
I don't have a problem with complaining about the calls, but I do have a problem with the timing of the complaints. Because just now they're auditing the NBA for last year's Game 6 or Game 7, and so they sent the report that said that there were 81 instances in that Game 7 that took away 18.6 points. But I mean, that sounds significant, but I just think that they should have been doing this in October, and now they're doing it when they're down 2-0 against the Warriors. It says something about their character, I think. But at the same time, I don't want to take away anything from the Rockets. Yeah, sure, they had a great chance to make the finals last year, but now it's not looking as good. Down 2-0. I mean, it's still going to be a close series, I think. But I think what the Rockets really need to focus on is not focusing on what the refs are doing to hurt their chances. But Houston needs to go out there and they need to say, we are going to go take care of business, so the refs aren't even going to matter. The refs' calls in the last 2 minutes aren't even going to matter because we're going to be up by 15. That's what the Rockets need to focus on. and not whether or not James Harden can see what the referees aren't doing or aren't doing right.
Okay. Well, I mean, you mentioned the Rockets are, requesting an audit or whatever from the NBA, like 81 missed calls. I feel like any team could look at a game and be like, oh, there's missed call there, a little missed call there, he touched him on the arm. And that's whatever. But I think the Rockets are just complaining too much. And if you look at James Harden specifically, we all saw in Game 1, he shot up the 3. They were down 3 at the end of the game, 103 to 100. And he put up the 3. And, did he have a place to land? I think so. I think he stuck out his legs so that he'd get run into. And the refs are just tired of it. I think that's what it comes down to. Even if there was an actual foul, if you're trying to flop and whatever, get a foul, you're not going to get the foul as much. And if you just go out and play your game, if you focus on hitting your shot, then you might hit your shot. But if you're just focused on getting fouled, then you're way less likely to hit the shot. You
True.
say, I'm going to take my
That's
shot.
a good point. That's a good point. I agree with you. So the NBA did a 2-minute report on that game, and they did review that James Harden was given a place to land, and that was a good no call. However, there were 3 key missed no calls in the last 2 minutes. Curry should have fouled out twice during that game. There were 2 no calls on Curry that should have been called, which of course is very significant because what did Curry do with 24 seconds left in that game? He hit the game-winning 3-pointer. They also missed a Klay Thompson travel with like 50 seconds left in the game. And on that last shot, when Harden missed the 3 and there was a scramble for the ball, the NBA also said that Houston should have retained possession on that one with 4 seconds left in a one-possession game. So, I mean, there is a lot of significance with the refs' calls, but I think at the same time, it's time to let the players play.
Yeah, I agree.
And hopefully this series will end and we won't have to question whether or not the refs were a factor.
Right. It is the playoffs, and at this point, you just got to focus. Intensity goes up, everything goes up. So you just got to play team basketball and not really rely on the refs and just kind of rely on your execution as a team. And I feel like that's what the Rockets are not focusing on. So they want to turn it around. That's what they got to do, play as a team and just really take it to the Warriors and not really worry about what the referees are doing. But thank you, fellas. That wraps up this segment of Crossing the Line. See you guys next time. Brian, Matt, Sergio, you guys have an awesome weekend. And hasta luego.